Hey everybody, welcome to the September edition of the KP Ready Virtual Demo Day. Before we get started, I wanted to do a couple of housekeeping items. If you're not aware, we have our upcoming AEC Summit on October 29th in Phoenix, Arizona. And then we also have a Vibathon on the 28th at the same location, and we still have a few spots left on that. So if you need to sign up still, go to our website at kpready.co, go to the events drop down, and you'll be able to navigate to each of those events that are upcoming. Today we've got 4 different technology providers. We have site controls, we have some robotics for the job site, AI for RFIs, and AI for submittal review. Okay. Next up, we'll have Nadav from Okibo, and he'll be showcasing his painting and finishing robot solution. It's all yours.
All right, can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, thank you for having me here, David. Hi, everyone. My name is Nadav Shuruk, a co-founder at Okibo, and we build autonomous robots for painting and drywall finish works. Our robots can paint, can spray paints, primers, waterproofing materials, also compounds. We also roll and sand for a very fine texture. Short video demonstrates what we're doing. Yeah, so our robots are designed for construction sites. They can easily be transported with a cargo van. As you can see here, the robot sands the walls. We can also sand the ceilings. We can easily swap between a sanding kit to a spraying kit. So then we can spray the materials that I just mentioned, the compounds, waterproofing, paints, etc. We can also roll. So we're very versatile in terms of the productivity that you gain from a single robot. This model is modular, also helps with transportation and logistics, which is very relevant for a job site. So the robots answer a very critical problem on the job site and in the industry in general, which is the high shortage in skilled labor. And in order to solve this, as well as productivity issues and quality issues, we've brought those robots to the industry. So the robots not only help managers and construction managers to manage their workforce in a more smart way. We also contribute significantly to the productivity and provide consistent and high quality. Obviously, we also contribute to safety. We take away people from hazardous substances and take them off, scissor lifts, walking on stilts and other lifting elements. We also reduce waste. We're much more accurate, and most of the materials goes directly on the wall. So we present up to 50% savings in materials. And one of the most interesting things that we also do is dealing with data. On the trade level, there's very low data that is being collected today. And the fact that we are positioned in a job site with very strong compute power, with sensors, with cameras and all that, allows us to capture a lot of data. For example, we know every day how many square feet were covered, how many gallons went through the pump, how many hours the robot was working in each state, etc. And this data is very valuable for a lot of stakeholders in the industry. So since 2023, we've been operational in the market with our robots. We started in the European market, and just last year we've opened the US office, and I'm managing this operation here, this effort. We work with large general contractors and also some major subcontractors in multiple projects. Over the past 3 years, as I mentioned, we covered more than 1.5 million square feet in more than 60 different projects. Some projects were short, some projects the robot stayed for 6 months and more. And we spent time in parking garages, commercial projects, recently in some data centers showing very high productivity, also office buildings, residential units, etc. Some of our most successful use cases were with one of the biggest drywall contractors in the US. We've demonstrated 50% in labor savings for a level 4 application, mainly in the sanding part, which put a lot of pressure on the taper, requires a lot of manual work, and of course contribute to a lot to dust and dirty area. And by using the robot, we were able to eliminate 3 or 4 tapers from this operation and direct them to other bottlenecks, such as taping, for example. So again, we allow the crews to be more efficient while using the robots. Another really cool use case is sealing, either by roller or by spray paint. We demonstrated several projects in the German market where we sprayed very large parking garages that are built in a modular purpose, in a modular way. But the painting of the ceilings required plenty of workforce, and we were able to eliminate 8 workers and again direct them to other tasks in this use case. So how we do it? Basically, what we have developed over the years is a very deep technology based on 3 pillars. So one pillar is the platform itself, which is very dedicated and designed for construction sites. It's battery operated, has a big container, no cable, no hoses. Maneuverability is very strong and agile. So we have like 4 wheels. Robots can move all directions. We have an axis that can lift the robotic arm in some cases up to 11 feet, and in the industrial version or the commercial version up to 24. And as I mentioned, we provide a lot of value, especially in big projects like data centers. In order to capture the reality or geometry in front of the robot, we've built over the years a very strong 3D perception algorithms. So we don't need BIM, we don't need plans, we don't need pre-programming or scans, tripods, any of that in order to get the 3D images of the areas in front of us. We've developed a very strong technology around this 3D perception. So in real time, our robot just understands the surface in front of it. And the third pillar is the ability of the robot to plan its own movement once we have this 3D perception. So what you see eventually is a process that is fully autonomous. Robot moves from one position to the other. In each position, few strokes of the arm, and the robot optimizes this movement. Again, no pre-programming, no prior data or pre-scan or marking or anything like that, which basically allows any professional, any team member without special skills in engineering or robotics operate robots and provide a huge value for the team. The process on site is very straightforward. Once you bring the robot with a cargo truck or with a lift, you unload it in the surface, you put it in the room, you load some of the material into this dedicated container, 18-gallon container. You position the robot in front of the wall, and then the user only have to choose from the application, same as you do on your smartphone. There is a dedicated application for sanding, for example, dedicated application for rolling, for wall spraying, ceiling spraying, etc. And in each application, the operator can determine several parameters like the speed of the arm, the distance from the wall, the overlap between the layers, etc. And by that, reach the best quality that can get. Press the green button, and then the robot just moved, as I mentioned, from one position to the other, making this process very easy. Training is very, very easy for new users. Within a few days, we can make someone without any background in robotics or engineering a very skilled operator of the robot. And that's how we plan to move forward and grow in the market. And as you probably know, there's a big excitement now in this industry, and we see a very transformative era when we see this huge labor shortage that keeps on growing with construction demand rising and labor cost going higher and higher. This is on one end, and on the technology side, we see that robots improve their performance, prices going down on the technology components like sensors, robotics arm, etc. And I'm really happy that Okibo is positioned exactly in this center of revolution, and we really hope to capture these huge opportunities that this market has to offer. Again, thank you. I'm Nadav, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Yeah, Nadav, a couple questions. One from the audience. How does the user control the robot? Does it integrate with BIM? And can you talk about the modularity?
Yeah, so we move the robot from room to room with a joystick. We don't have like a pre-plan or something like that. We don't plan the robot to move in the entire day from one to the other. So we don't need, as I mentioned, we don't need BIM or we don't need other digital information. However, if there are drawings or any other digital information, what we can do, we can download it to our system. We have a simulation environment. We can run the robot in advance in a project and identify the challenges or the bottlenecks, and by that we can plan ahead how to deploy the robots in the most smart way in that project. Modularity, so the robot we can dismantle some of the parts, and the reason that we did that is mainly for transportation and logistics. Not all sites have the lifting equipment that we see in other places like cranes or elevators. So the goal is to have the robot being able to be carried by 2 or 3 people from the crew and move it from one place to the other.
Right. Next question, does the robot adapt to irregular surfaces or struggle with certain corners or edges?
Yeah, so we handle simple corners quite easily without interfering with the autonomous movement. We typically put the robots in a box-shaped geometry. So if we have like a very complex geometry, like in condos, in high-end apartments, I would say that this use case is less relevant for our robot, but we are keep on improving our ability to navigate in those areas, including we were able to adapt to curved areas. We tested the robot in a 3D printed data center in Germany, where all the walls were printed in a curved way, and we were able to manage this. But we're improving our technology, making it more robust over time.
What is the procedure if the robot shuts down or there's any troubleshooting that needs to be done while it's in operation on site?
Yeah, our experience shows that most of the problems or the daily maintenance and challenges are around the pump, which is off-the-shelf component, and most of the spraying teams are familiar with some clogs, hoses that are stuck and stuff like that. Other areas that we see some challenges are around overspray. When you spray in small spaces, there's a lot of dust coming up and a lot of overspray, so that in some cases blocks our sensors. We're using LiDAR, so it translated on the LiDAR as an obstacle. So you need to wipe the sensors from time to time. Other than that, we're not experienced heavy challenges. The robot is really strong, really robust, all covered, dust resistant and all that.
And what are there any limitations in terms of regionality in the US where you guys are able to deploy? And then what's that process, in terms of like, is it a lease structure? Can people buy it? Like, where do you offer the service, and how can people get the service?
Yeah, so we lease the robots on a long-term contract, mainly for general contractors who self-perform the finishing works and the subcontractors. It's structured as payment for the robot and payment for a service. So it's like a big package of all-inclusive, where we train them, we provide them with the ability to maintain the robots, we provide spare parts if needed, additional training for new teams, and support, onboarding, all that is part of the package. We're not limited in the US in terms of region. Currently, we are operating in the Northeast. We have some robots in the South. We have robots around Virginia, in the data centers area, also in Columbus, Ohio. Actually, one of the biggest value that we see is in off-site manufacturing, where the robots are utilizing almost 100% of the time in multiple tasks around this finishing. And actually, we were very surprised to see that in a lot of the factories that are manufacturing either volumetric or houses, a lot of the work are being done manually. So it's the same traditional tasks that are being done on the site are being done off-site. And for us, it's even easier because all robots are concentrated in one place, and logistics, service, maintenance, and all that is much easier. So as I mentioned, we are not limited into a specific region in the US, and we started to serve most of the regions.
Great. Looks like there's no other questions from the audience. So Nadav, if you could just drop your contact information into everyone in the chat so they know who to reach out to if they want to inquire about the Okibo robot.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Thanks.